Hello there. This is McKenna Johnston, and it is such a pleasure to have you all here. Could you just give me a heads up that yes, indeed, you can hear me? If you could just jump into the chat box and say, yes, you can hear me, that would be fantastic. We will be getting ready shortly. I just created a poll. Yeah, no, I wasn't talking. I was done talking. I just checked in and then didn't start because we're still a little early. I just created a poll about shiny object syndrome. I'd love to hear where you guys are coming from. You can click on polls and it'll work that way so you can see that. Fantastic. Well, I'm going to leave that poll up for a little while and I am going to get started. So today you are here to learn about shiny object syndrome. So I'm calling this your SOS for shiny object syndrome. So your SOS for SOS. And it's with me, McKenna Johnston. If you haven't met me before, I am a business strategist and bliss coach for women entrepreneurs who are hell-bent on believing that bliss is not a luxury, but a necessity. And when I say bliss, I don't mean in a woo-woo sense of follow your bliss and everything will be perfect. When I say bliss, what I really mean is whatever makes you the fullest expression of you, both in your life and in your business. And I think it's really important to make that really clear before we get started, because a lot of people, when they come into my orbit, and there are a number of new people here today, are really shocked by how pragmatic I am, despite being relatively on the woo scale. I'm an incredibly pragmatic coach. I'm an incredibly pragmatic person who strongly believes in science and reason and connecting to those and your kind of intuition and all of that. So I really come from both sides of the coin. So a lot of people, when they enter my orbit, see my woo-woo logo and see what I write about and are like, whoa, you're really not as woo as I thought you were. So I think it's important to make that clear from the get-go. So welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you here. So if you want to share your takeaways, feel free to use the tags on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, the Bliss Brigade. That is the name of my Facebook group and the name of the people who follow me. I call them Bliss Brigaders. And you can also reply me at Mac Johnston in the Twitterverse if you have any questions for me that you don't want to ask in the chat or what have you. So that is the deal with how you can reach me and how you can be present in this and share all of your awesome takeaways. So when we talk about shiny object syndrome, it's really important to understand that the most important thing with shiny object syndrome and avoiding it, and I'll talk about this a lot today. Today will be kind of a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, 30 minutes would be my guess. I'm really into providing a lot of value really quickly. I think we all are busy in real ways, not just fake busy, and have a lot of other things to do rather than sit on hundreds of webinars. So don't be surprised. You're like, whoa, that was fast, because it probably will be. But before we begin, I want to make it really clear that this notion of being in touch with your body and being in touch with how your mind connects to your body is the single most important thing for when you decide to disengage from shiny object syndrome. So to begin, we'll do a quick little centering exercise, just a few minutes to get your breath calmed down, to get present. Shut all the other browsers. For one reason, Webinar Jam, my software works about 10 times better with everything else closed down. It takes up a lot of bandwidth. And for another thing, it's so you can really be present in this session. Again, as I said, it's very fast. It'll be really easy to follow, and it'll be really easy to take some takeaways, but it's best if you're fully present in the session. So go ahead and take a few seconds to shut down your other browsers. Put your phone on silent unless you absolutely have an emergency call that might come in, and just really be here and now. So wherever you are, I want you to get comfortable. If for some reason you're driving, please don't close your eyes. That would be dangerous. But if you're somewhere else, I want you to get comfortable wherever you are, sitting, lying down, standing, and take a few moments to really ground whatever you're sitting or standing on and think about rooting down. And that could either imagine growing roots out of your feet, growing roots out of your tailbone, but I really want you to be comfortable and connected to the object you are resting on. I want you to take a few deep breaths, a deep inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And I want you to think about why you're here today. What made you sign up for this event? What made you click join now? Have you in the past been driven by shiny objects and you're trying to break that habit? Have you had a couple missteps with shiny objects and you're looking to no longer have those missteps? Or do you enjoy shiny objects and you're trying to figure out maybe why you shouldn't and why it doesn't necessarily serve your life or business? I really want you to set a clear intention of why you're in this space today and why you decided to join me on this journey. I want you to sit with that. I want you to notice how that feeling is in your body. Does it create tension? Does it create excitement? I just want you to put a pin in that feeling for a second. And allow that feeling to be everywhere in your body. If it causes anxiety, think about why. If it causes a lot of joy, think about why. Just allow yourself to sit with that intention. Now, I want you to allow that feeling you just called up to be released from your body. And the way you're going to do that is by consciously moving, this sounds a little crazy, consciously moving every single joint in your body. You're going to start with your fingers. You're going to move your fingers. And if you're injured, move them slowly. If you're injured and can't move them, don't force it. I want you to start by just bending your fingers and your thumb. And they're hinge joints, so they can only bend up and down. So bend them a few times. Then I want you to take your wrist and flex it up and down. Flex it to side to side. I want you to imagine moving this energy that you've just brought into your body. Next, I want you to turn your hands up and down, which moves your forearms. There's like a little pivot joint in there. I want you to hinge your elbows slowly. Give them a shake in the shoulder sockets, your whole arms. Then give shoulders a whole round. Like, you know, the whole ball and socket feeling. Move them every position you can. I want you to shrug your shoulders, kind of wiggle them back and forth. And I want you to move your rib cage back and forth, front to back. And if you're sitting, you might need to stand, but give your hips a little move in the ball and socket. The same thing you did in your shoulders, full circle. Get that full range of motion. I want you to bend and straighten your legs. I want you to flex and point your feet. And then rotate your ankles and bend your toes. And the last thing I want you to do is take the deepest breath you've taken this far. I want you to breathe in for at least 8 counts and expand your diaphragm, expand your lungs, expand your shoulders, expand everything you can, and then blow it all out. Okay, now feel free to take about 10 to 15 seconds. Move anything else you need to. Come back to sitting or wherever you're comfortable so that you can be present in this moment. And we will move forward. Okay, hopefully that felt good, and hopefully that allowed you to set the intentions and get in touch with your body. And feel free to throw anything that you're thinking about, feeling in the chat box. There's a group of you here, so maybe you guys can have a little conversation about it. And I'm going to move forward. So what is shiny object syndrome? This is a question that I've had a few times actually in my email. I guess I kind of know what it is, but is it a disease? I actually had someone ask that. She made me giggle. I know she was joking. She's a good friend of mine, but she just said, the way you're talking about it makes it sound like a disease. And I said, no, it's not a disease, clearly not. But it is definitely something that we all suffer from. What it really is when you buy something or are attracted to something, despite its lack of substance, there's something about it that catches your eye. And it may have some substance in its own right, but it has no substance for you. And as entrepreneurs, we are most commonly caught in this notion of shiny object syndrome when we think we want something, or we do want something that might help us, our business, or our well-being, even though it won't. And even though we might kind of know that, and we are pulled in by the marketing. I think it's really important to be aware of that so that you're making smart investments rather than willy-nilly investments. So when I'm speaking of shiny object syndrome, I'm really talking about investments here. And that may be in your business, it may be in your life, it may be in how you connect to a coach. Whatever it is, it's really that it lacks the substance you're hoping to, that you can see it lacks substance, but you want it anyway because the marketing has drawn you in or something about it has caught your eye. Now, I mentioned in the email I sent to my main list yesterday when I was inviting them to this event that I had a little client story. I had a client who in the past year of her business had invested in over 30 e-courses. Yes, 30. And I asked her, what of those were actually helpful for your business? And she took a deep breath and said the magic number had been 4. In those courses, she had bought multiple copywriting courses, multiple how to start a business courses, multiple, how to manage systems courses, multiple how to hire people courses. Each of them she had bought multiples of, even though she'd already learned it in the previous course. And I asked her the why. Why did you buy these courses? And her answer was, of course, because I wanted results and fast. She really wanted to grow her business and she felt really committed to growing her business. So she spent a lot of time investing in courses, hoping it would grow her business. But in all honesty, she had found that only 4 of those courses had been helpful. And she had continued buying courses. So I said to her on that call, we're done, right? We're good? She goes, yes, we're done, please. And I said, here's the deal. If you want to invest in something, you're going to check in with me. And she goes, oh gosh, that's a lot of pressure. I have to actually ask you before I buy things for my business. I said, well, you did hire me as your coach. It's probably a good idea that we figure out how to invest more smartly. But the point of this is that she has an incredibly successful business and she's a marketer. And I think this is the most telling. She herself creates marketing stories. And yet she was so vulnerable to buying multiple things that did not help her. She said to me, I had a fear of missing out that, what if I can't take it till next year? And this is the thing that will grow my business and this whole desire to grow quickly. So I need to sit with that for a second. I think we all have a desire to grow our businesses, either quickly or smartly or both. And of course, if we see a course or a thing that says you can fix this part of your business with this course, which you don't feel like you have on lock yet, you don't feel like you have it locked down, that you're effective in that area, it's no wonder we are vulnerable to this. So I'm going to tell you a little shiny object story about myself. I have killed shiny object syndrome in my business, which I'm very thankful for. I have managed to purchase less than I think I'm at 3 courses now that are business courses total. And one of them is they've all been really helpful because I've utilized this process I've created. Now, here's my story about something that I really do still have shiny object syndrome about, and it's about a pair of diamond earrings. And I know this sounds a little silly. Why is McKenna, a bliss coach, business strategist, talking about diamond earrings? Well, I'll tell you why. I have been in love with this pair of diamond earrings since I was 17 years old. I'm almost twice that now. So I can tell you how long I have been hankering over these. Now, I am not one to believe in not taking care of yourself and not buying the things you want, but I think there's a time and place for this. And I called this a literal expression of shiny objects because these are the prettiest, sparkliest earrings I've ever seen. They're half a carat each. They're at a diamond store in Boulder where I grew up, and I used to look at them once every 2 weeks. They are made by a company called Hearts on Fire, so they claim to be the sparkliest, prettiest diamonds ever. Now, the really cool thing about this company is I can buy the absolute smallest size, and anytime I want to upgrade to the larger size, I can. But I have found that by not buying these, because it's not something I need, and even though I want it, do I actually want them? Yes. But do I want them now? Not necessarily. I have no place, really, to wear them right now. I don't go to a lot of events. I spend a lot of time in a mountain cabin. I spend most of my time skiing, and I have this deep fear of losing them. So I haven't purchased them. But let me tell you, I have wanted to purchase them. Now, how have I made the decision not to, especially when I could buy the lower size and then upgrade as time goes on? The reality is I've used it as a carrot in my business. I know this kind of sounds weird, but I have used it personally as my reward that one of these days I will get to buy these. I will get to buy them when I want the size that I actually want and when I have a reason to actually have them. Because do I need them? No. Do they look pretty? Yes. Do I want them? Hell yes. But I do not need them. I don't really have a place for them in my life right now, but I know someday I will. Now, how does that relate to business courses? Well, and to being an entrepreneur. Well, the reality is, the thing you want to purchase is almost always guaranteed to be there eventually. If it's not this year, it'll be there next year, and often better. If it's not this month, it might be next month. So it's really important to remember that you want to avoid shiny objects like the plague unless you actually have a series of things that needs to happen that it makes sense to purchase them, which is what I'm going to talk about right now. So there are 3 key ways that you can beat shiny object syndrome in your life and business. And they are very, very specific. Now, the most important thing to remember is that marketers often use scarcity to get you to buy in right now. So the first thing to consider, and this isn't actually in the actual strategy, but I think it's important, and it's something you should always consider. Is it actually scarce, or are they faking you into believing it's scarce? An example of something that's actually scarce is a one-off item that will never be made again. And if you really, really want it and you really, really need it and you can afford it and it's never going to be offered and it's one of a kind, this does not apply. This process does not apply. You have to deal with that yourself. And you can use some of the strategies, but it creates a different thing. So the first thing to think about is it actually scarce? Because oftentimes it isn't. There will be another time. There will be another iteration. There will be another way to get this information. The most important thing after scarcity is realizing that needs in your business trumps want. Most of the time we buy things because we want them, not because we need them. So what's the difference, anywho? The difference is that if you actually need to learn something in your business, if you actually need the material that's in the course, that might be a need. But if you think you kind of want it, but maybe you don't really need it, but maybe you might learn something from it, that's a want. And this is a lot harder to figure out in things that relate to your business, in my humble opinion, than things you're in material things that you buy in your life. But you need to, when you're looking at copy, when you're looking at buying things, investing in a coach, signing up for a webinar, it's important to look at the sales copy and pull out your needs from what the things that are meant to sell. My favorite habit is I don't read the first, I skip all the stuff and I get to the content. The stuff that, these are the pain points. You know, copywriters are going to kill me for talking about this. I have plenty of copywriters who may never speak to me again. I'm joking when I say that, but I have plenty of copywriters who work really hard on those bits. But those bits are meant to touch your pain points, to harass you, to get you into the, yes, I need this, must read more. If you can scan down and get to the meat and potatoes of what you actually need, you're less likely to buy impulse and in the want zone, and more likely to buy in the need zone. I'll say that one more time. To get out of your want zone and into your need zone, skip the pain points and get right to the brass tacks. This is usually about 1/3 of the way down a sales page and is very focused on benefits for you. That is where you want to start on the sales page. If you don't feel like you have enough information when you look at the meat and potatoes, then go back up to the pain points and read the whole thing. This is the single best way to keep you in your zone of need and out of your zone of want. Guaranteed. Promise. But what if you just want it? Is that enough? The answer is always, hell yes, it is. If you want it for the right reasons. You just need to make sure you're clear on the why you want it, and know that wants are totally a-okay. You know, if I really wanted to buy those diamond earrings, if I really wanted to invest in more business courses, I could. It would be totally okay. But here's the difference between leading with needs. You can always decide you still want it. Always. But it's important to lead with the needs so you can tell the difference between needing and wanting. Because oftentimes copy is built to create the I need this, I need this, I need this zone in your brain. That's what linguistics is. This is what people like Ash Amberger and Courtney Johnston and Laura Belgray talk about. They're creating copy that gets you to say, I need this. Your job is to smart yourself out of the needs and focus on it. The great thing about good copy is that it'll show you if you want it and then help you decide if you need it, if you lead with that need first. So again, if you do just want something, that's fine. Don't deny yourself if you really want something. Just make clear that you understand the why you want it. So step one is realize need trumps want. And scarcity fits in this too, right? Scarcity makes you want things more. If you take the scarcity out of your brain, you can still realize that need. You can still lead with need. The second set of this process is often the first step, which is try not to stumble upon things. Seek what you need, get on those lists, and be ready for when they release. If you know you need a course in copywriting, research the best courses in copywriting and pick the one that speaks to you most. Get on the wait list, join the next time it opens. This is a great way to check in with yourself. Is this something that you actually need? Do you think you need a certification? Seek it out. Don't just seek the next certification that shows up in your inbox. Do you want a raw food certification? Do you want a coaching certification? Do you want to be a certified copywriter by this certain person? If you think you want that, seek out the options, weigh them, get on the lists, and then make the decisions. And check in regularly with your needs and find the things that take care of those needs. Do you feel like your copy's not converting? Again, find copywriting courses, get on the list, join the one that makes you most excited. Do you know you definitely never need a copywriting course? Get off those preview lists the minute they hit your inbox. Get off of them if you know you don't need it anymore. And really be aware of your needs in your business. Create a list of those needs. Do you need to improve in design? Do you need to hire a designer? Do you need to figure out what those actual things that you need are? Because if you can be proactive about your needs instead of reactive to your wants, you will be incredibly more successful at avoiding shiny object syndrome. Let me say that one more time. If you can be proactive with your needs instead of reactive with your wants, you can avoid shiny object syndrome in its entirety. Does that mean you'll stop buying online e-courses and stop buying things? No, it doesn't. But it means you'll be making the best, most educated decision you can make regarding what you actually need in your business. Step 3 is tune out the noise and into you. There's a couple ways to do that. You can connect to your body desires and joy. So you can turn off this crazy marketing noise that is clicking you to buy. There's so many ways to do it. The two biggest ways are connecting to desire and connecting to your body. So let's say you're already being proactive instead of reactive. You're already really tuned into your needs versus your wants, and you're still not sure, and you still have these wants, and you feel like it might be a need. Well, you can connect to desire and connect to your body to decide if you actually want or need this thing. So what do I mean by connecting to desire? Well, there are a number of ways. You can read the Desire Map by Danielle Laporte and get an understanding of your core desired feelings. Or you can simply figure out how you want to feel or follow craved outcomes. Now, what does that mean? Read the Desire Map is easy. You can read the book, do it, Desire Map the bejesus out of your life, and get really clear on what your core desired feelings are. And then if this thing comes up, you can say, does it relate to my core desired feelings directly? And if it relates to at least 50% of them, then that might be a good purchase. That's how I lead my life in a lot of ways when I buy things. That's how I decided to buy my time with Liz D'Alto, Wild Soul Movement. I've said, you know, it's something that's not really comfortable for me, but it fit with my desired feelings, and I went, okay, I'm going to make the purchase. And it really has helped me. And even though it's not my perfect ideal practice, it's been great for me. It's been great for some of my clients who I've been able to share it with. But it was because it related directly to my core desired feelings. And if you don't want to read another book, the reality is you can just decide how you want to feel on a daily basis. Or following your craved outcomes. And what's a craved outcome? The craved outcome is what I teach my clients to do through my Bliss strategy, which is available in the Bliss Brigade if you are there. And if you're not, you'll have an opportunity to join it at the end of this call. And it really teaches you to lead from an outcomes-based rather than to react. So for example, if you say, I want to launch this course this year, instead of saying, I want to launch this course, you look at the why behind it. But if you actually know your craved outcomes, it makes it a lot easier to make good purchasing decisions of shiny objects, because if it helps make your craved outcomes more effective or more likely, then it's a better purchase. So I always suggest to my clients to ask yourself when you're trying to tune out the noise is, does this purchase fulfill the way I want to feel in my life and business? And then does it feel good in my body? So does this purchase fulfill the way I want to feel in my life and business? Covers all the stuff we just talked about. Does it relate to how you want to feel? Does it relate to your craved outcomes? Does it relate to your desire? And if it does, that's great. And the next step is, does it feel good in my body? And that's what we're going to talk about right now. When you're thinking about making a purchase, your body is the number one thing that I think should guide it. And the best way to tap into your body and your mind-body connection is to sit quietly and to tap somewhere near your heart or near your clavicle or on your bra band. And I'll show that in a second because I'm going to go on video in a minute. I'll show you these places. But today we're going to tap on our hearts. So I want you to take just kind of like your hand and just tap right on your heart and sit. If you do that long enough, what you're actually doing is kind of sending a message to yourself that you want to connect to your body. So you're actually creating a rhythmic pattern. And the best way to explain this is a lot of similarities to the way that certain people with different brain chemistry stimulate their bodies. So they might rock or tap. So that's because that's the only way they can connect to their bodies, literally. That's how they connect mind body at the same time. And even if you don't have differing brain chemistry in that way, and that isn't something you do normally, just keep tapping on your heart. You should be doing it still. It allows you to create that direct connection. And so this becomes a great place to start. Does it feel good? Do I want this or need this? Does it actually help the way I want to feel in my business and life? And you can ask yourself those sorts of questions while quietly tapping, and you'll notice that the answers become way more clear. And this is a really great exercise to do because it really does give you a full connection to your body. A lot of times we just kind of sit in our bodies and we just exist. This actually forces you to make a connection between your brain and your body. And it's a really, really powerful tool to use when looking at how to connect to your body. So to recap, needs trump wants. Always ask yourself, do I need this? If no, why do I want it? And if you just want it because you want it, that's A-okay, but it's good to know that. Do you have a need? Seek out the solution proactively rather than stumbling upon the solution reactively. And then the last thing is, does it feel good in my body? Does it feel good in general? Check in with yourself before any purchase. Breathe with it, tap, get connected to how your body actually feels about it, because there's a lot of infinite wisdom there. And it's really important to be as present in yourself as possible. So this is when I'll open question and answers. My next event is the same time, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and it's on relationship marketing and relationship building, and it will be here. You're on the list now, so you'll get a notification. I've decided to stop making people give me their email a second time. I'm just going to give the live event list to the people who are already on my list. You won't have to multiply that. And that is it. I'm going to quickly put myself on video and show you the points that I was talking about tapping on. And I'm going to end this poll. Yeah. I want you to know that 75% of us have totally been a victim of shiny object syndrome. 25% of us were not sure, and 0% of us said never, marketing ain't got nothing on me. So I'd say that's pretty universal. As I said, everybody kind of needs this. So I'm going to get on video really quickly. I need to stop my screen share, get on video. Hello. So when I'm talking about tapping on your heart, I'm talking about like right here. When I'm talking about tapping your clavicles, it's like up here. Talking about tapping near your bra band, it's like down here. These are all good places to go. The easiest one is here. And it's just really easy to just tap on this point to understand to create that mind-body connection. And it's not EFT point, it's nothing meridian therapy wise. It's just a way to be more present in your own body. As I said, a lot of people with various brain chemistry, most common is autism or sensory overload. They have difficulty connecting to their bodies. So they do this kind of naturally. They stimulate their bodies to connect the two. And it's a really great tool for everybody to use to be in yourself and to make sure you're making a good decision. So that concludes my portion. I'm going to sit here for a few minutes and let you ask any questions you'd like. I think that's it. And Kim, I see your comment that I was reading your mind and you're a marketer. You signed up for 6 business courses at the same time because of FOMO. Yes, I hear you. It took, the only reason I didn't sign up for courses when I was starting my business was partially all of this and partially because I was already invested in a one-on-one coach and I couldn't afford courses. So, any questions from anyone? None? That's okay. You don't have to have questions. Oh, thanks, Shauna. The picture, it's from a friend in Georgia. He's quite an artist. But yeah, it reminds me of where I spent my summers as a kid. You're welcome, Kim. Thank you for being here. And I'll be sending a recap of the takeaways and the recording out to the list in the next couple days. Sandra, I would say that having someone, Sandra said that she fantasizes about someone else fixing all that is broken. I don't think that's a problem. If you can't fix it yourself, that's different than, that's not a shiny object. That's actually taking care of business. For sure. Any other questions? Okie dokie. I'm going to sign off if there are no more questions. It's good to see you guys, or I guess you saw me, I didn't see you. It was good to chat with you. And if you haven't joined the Bliss Brigade yet, you can find it at facebook.com/groups/Bliss Brigade, BLISSBRIGADE. facebook.com/groups/Bliss Brigade. Carla, yes, having a budget's great, but you know, even if you have a budget, you shouldn't necessarily be buying up to your budget if you don't need it. Just because you set a budget of $5,000 a year doesn't mean you should spend that there, unless you really want to. So I think that's really personal. But yeah, I had a budget last year and I was way under budget by a lot, and I was comfortable with that because I really did not need anything else. I was really cranking along, and even though I had the money, I didn't spend it. So yes, budgeting does help, but I think that budgeting is less important than checking in with the wants and needs, because buying something just because you can isn't necessarily a good investment. Hope that answers your question. Okay, I am going to sign off. It was a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Bye.